All the Young Dudes by MsKingBean89, Chapter 97, 6th Year, October. Saturday, 9th October 1976. Ugh! Remus staggered to his feet as the transformation completed and his body settled back into its human form. That didn't seem too bad, James said, having just transformed himself. Depends what you mean by bad, Remus grimaced, pulling his trousers on quickly. James looked away, politely, to preserve his modesty, and Sirius, still a dog, patted over with Remus's shirt in his mouth, offering it up with a cocked head. Cheers, Padfoot, Remus smiled. He wanted to pat the dog on the head, and had to keep reminding himself that this was serious. Thank Merlin it's Saturday, James yawned, taking a seat on the beaten-up couch. It sagged drearily beneath him, Springs wheezing. Yeah, if Madame Pomfrey lets me off the hospital wing, I'll probably go straight to bed anyway, Remus replied, stifling his own yawn and laying down on his cot. You're lucky, Peter said, appearing as if from nowhere in the far corner of the room. Supposed to be taking Desi dogs made at 11. Prongs, don't you have to leave the third years down? Nah, James yawned again, noisily. Now Evans knows about Remus's furry little problem, she's actually cutting me some slack. That fifth year kid with the sunburn is doing it instead. Evans doesn't know anything else, does she? Sirius finally reappeared, joining James on the couch. James shook his head, leaning back on the couch and closing his eyes. Oi, Sirius nudged him. We've got to go soon. Don't sleep. You lot go, Remus murmured. Get some rest. Thanks for coming and all that. Coming to Hogsmeade, Mooney? Sirius asked, holding James to his feet. 3 broomsticks. Can't, Remus shook his head. Didn't I tell you? I had my permission revoked. After the attacks. What? Sirius looked outraged. They can't punish you for something some other bastard's done. Shh, Remus flapped his hand, frowning. Madame Pomfrey could be on her way down the tunnel. And besides, he had a headache. It's not to punish me, it's for my safety. Now get lost, a lot of you. They were gone in just the nick of time. Madame Pomfrey entered the shack only a few minutes afterwards. She gave him a quick going over, and satisfied, walked Remus back up to the castle. She prescribed him a few hours of sleep in the hospital wing, which he was more than happy to accept. For all of his friends in Hogsmeade, there wasn't much to miss out on. He woke at about lunchtime, stomach rumbling as usual. Madame Pomfrey had evidently anticipated this. There was a plate of cold cuts and bread on his bedside table, along with a bowl of fruit and a large goblet of pumpkin juice, which he drained first. Remus was so ravenous, in fact, that he did not notice the letter propped up in the fruit bowl between the 2 apples until he was well into the construction of his second sandwich. When he saw that it was addressed to him in the script familiar from the hundreds of Return Care of Magical Creatures essays, he almost knocked his plate off the bed in his eagerness to open it. Dear Remus, it's a pleasure to hear from you. I don't mind in the least. I cannot disclose my location at present, but rest assured that I am as safe as it is possible for me to be. I'm glad to hear that you are well. Dumbledore told me about your owl results. I'm incredibly proud of you, Remus. I know you must have worked very hard. Keep on like that, and I promise that nothing can stop you. It is perfectly natural that you should want to know more about Greyback. I only wish I had more to tell you. I am afraid I've never worked on any werewolf-related cases for the Ministry, and if you want my opinion, no one has done any useful research into lycanthropy since your father, and as you know, he was quite terribly wrong about a number of things. I do know that Greyback was a dangerous wizard before he was bitten, and is one of the cruelest men I have ever heard of, save Voldemort himself. The council that freed him against your father's wishes believed him to be a Muggle trump. I would take this to mean that he dresses shabbily and is a skilled manipulator. I'm sorry I can't give you more than this. I want to emphasise, however, that the most important thing we know about Greyback is that he is dangerous. If you have even the slightest suspicion that he knows where you are, then you must contact Dumbledore immediately. Only Dumbledore can be trusted. Best of luck with your newts, Ferox. Remus read through this twice, then read the first paragraph once more, just for the thrill of it. I'm incredibly proud of you, Remus. What a wonderful thing. There was no solid information in there, of course. Nothing Remus hadn't already considered. Of course Greyback must look homeless. That was the best way to avoid drawing attention to yourself. And Remus was the very last person who needed to hear how dangerous this man was. The letter felt precious all the same. Only the Marauders had ever written to him before. "Good afternoon, dear," Madame Pomfrey emerged from behind the screen. She had a sixth sense for knowing when he was awake. "Hello," he smiled at her, Ferrex's encouraging words still in his mind. "You're in a good mood," she smiled back. "Though I don't blame you. Nearly a perfect night. You're free to go as soon as you like." "Thanks." He swung his legs out of bed at once, then looked up, quickly. Madame Pomfrey, can I ask you something?" "Of course, Remus," she replied, busying herself about stripping the bed now that he had left it. She did it with a sweep of a wand. It was some of the most elegant and seamless magic Remus had ever seen. "I'd like to learn something about healing spells. Just basic stuff. I'm no good at potions. Actually, I dropped it." I was sorry to hear that," she replied, tidying his bedside. "Potion making is a useful skill." "Right, but I just wanted to be able to sort myself out after the full moon. Once school finishes, you know." Madame Pomfrey stopped what she was doing and sat on the bed to look at him. When he was a little boy, they were eye to eye when she sat down. Now, she had to look up as he towered over her, and he thought for the first time what a very small woman she was. He had never forgotten the morning she had rocked him in her arms, how safe she made him feel then. He could probably pick her up now, if he wanted to, and somehow, she still gave him that same sense of security. "All right, Remus," she said, after surveying him. "I teach a small selection of students the basics of healing on Tuesday evenings. You're welcome to join if you wish, though there isn't a qualification in it." "I didn't know you did that." She smiled fondly, getting up again and resuming her work. "It's to prepare students wishing to begin their training as healers once they leave Hogwarts. I can only presume that healing was not your chosen career path when you spoke with Professor McGonagall last year." "Oh, yeah, right." He rubbed the back of his head, slightly embarrassed. He'd never thought about healing, largely because he thought it probably involved a lot of potions, but also because he was quite certain that no one would want to hire a werewolf to look after vulnerable people. The common room was nearly empty, it being a nice sunny autumnal day and a Hogsmeade weekend. Remus entered the dorm room quite noisily, allowing the door to slam. James sat up in bed, startled. "Bloody hell!" "Oh, sorry," Remus cringed. "I thought you'd be in Hogsmeade." "We were going to." Sirius rolled over in his bed, yawning. "But our beds looked so comfortable." "Damn, I didn't mean to sleep that long." James got up, stretching. "I was going to slip Rose Murta a bit of cash for the Halloween fire whiskey chew." "Don't worry, I got Peter to do it," Sirius replied, lying on his back, making no sign that he planned to get up at all. "Is it lunchtime?" "Yeah," Remus grinned, pleased to have his friends for an afternoon which he had expected to be very dull and lonely. "Shall we go down?" "Let me shower first," James nodded, trailing sleepily towards the bathroom. "Ugh, and I really ought to start that Defense Against the Dark Arts essay on Patronuses. Have either of you done it?" "Drafted," Remus said, flicking through his own pile of homework. "You can take a look at it if you want, but I bet you know it better than me anyway." "I hardly had time for the reading," James shouted from inside the bathroom. He never shut the door, and treated everywhere like the Quidditch locker room. With the game coming up and these prefect patrols, not that I'm complaining about those. Patronuses look really cool though. I wanted to be the first one to do it. Remus didn't respond to this, but he thought that James probably would be the first to cast a Patronus. Not only because he was the best in the year at Defense Against the Dark Arts, but, according to the books Remus had read so far anyway, it looked like he needed to be able to conjure up Aberforth at extremely short notice. James seemed like the most likely to be able to do this. Remus thought he could probably manage it too, but maybe not very quickly. He made a mental note to give it some further thought before the practical lesson. "So, we've sorted the booze," Sirius was saying, loudly, so that James could hear them over the water running. "Food is easy, and it'll be right after the feast anyway, so no one will be hungry except Moony." Up yours, Remus said, blithely, settling onto his own bed, still trying to come up with happy thoughts. Decorations, Sirius continued, smiling. Well, I've asked Davini and Hufflepuff to do something creative with pumpkins, so we'll see how that goes. Then all we need is music. You'll do that again, won't you, Moony? Remus shrugged. I could, but last time everyone just put on whatever they wanted anyway. He didn't want to admit that he wasn't particularly looking forward to the Halloween party. Not that he didn't love getting his face on fire whiskey and watching James make a prat of himself on the dance floor. But he couldn't shake the memory of the last Gryffindor common room party, now that ended up for him. That's fine, Sirius was reassuring him. Just get them going for the first few tracks. Something they could dance to this time. Remus smirked and raised an eyebrow. You can dance to Pink Floyd, if you try hard enough. I know you have standards, but, Mary's asked if you could stick on some ABBA, maybe? Sirius asked this with a mild wince, as if it caused him physical pain. Oh, Jesus! Remus flopped back onto his bed dramatically, throwing an arm over his face. Spare me! Sirius laughed, which made even ABBA seem worth it. Shit! Mary! James shouted from the bathroom. Sirius frowned. What? He yelled back. James came running out of the bathroom, soaking wet and dripping onto the floorboards, a towel around his waist. Mary! He said again. You were supposed to treat her to a day out in Hogsmeade to make up for her birthday. Oh, boggering fuck! Sirius slapped his head, annoyed. How do I keep forgetting? Not your fault, mate, James said, grabbing another towel to dry his hair, making it extra messy in the process. You've been busy. Remus thought this was extremely charitable of James, and actually a bit of a lie, really. Sirius was the least busy of the Marauders. He hardly bothered with homework. He wasn't on the Quidditch team. He did nothing at all extracurricular, and was taking on even less subjects than even Peter. Other than attentions and a dedicated commitment to practical jokes, Mary was Sirius's only other real concern. Ah, well, she'll forgive me, Sirius sighed. I'll take her out next time, and go really mad on Valentine's Day. That's months away, Remus reminded him. Sirius shrugged. James shook his head, putting his glasses on, and rooted around his dresser for clothes. Your funeral, mate, he said. You're going to lose that girl if you're not careful. Remus's heart skipped a beat.